Hello everybody, a very quick video today on MSTR stock, celebrating the performance of MSTR and talking about stretch. We are almost there. Stretch has taken far too long to get back to 100. We're almost there, though. We'll be there on Monday. Now, I think. I hope. Provided we don't get any bad macro news over the weekend. Looks like we got our risk-off day today. MSTR up 7%. That is a celebration. That is very, very good performance today from MSTR. Once again, yet another day of strong outperformance of Bitcoin. Bitcoin was only up 2.6% today. MSTR was up way more than that. What does that mean? That means that MNAV is going back up. I hope he ATMs. I hope he ATM today, but I hope he's gonna ATM more next week. This is good here, right? We're selling 100 for 127. This is accretive ATM, and I like to see that. Fear and Greed Index back at a 44. It's good. Like I said, I've said it before, I want to stay Fear and Greed right in the yellow. I want to stay neutral for many, many months now. We've had so many swings between extreme fear and extreme bullishness that I think the market needs to take a breather, and this is good to see. Note how at the end of the day, the market got a little spooked, and I think it has to do with Tariff headline from Trump. But also, I think the next catalyst for the market are the NVDA earnings. The NVIDIA earnings coming up soon. The NVIDIA earnings is the last thing we need to, kick off potentially a rally in risk assets. So selling may go away. I don't necessarily agree with that statement. I look forward to actually stocks doing well after May and doing well early in the summer, because we've had a truncated spring. We've had an awful spring because of macro events that had very little to do with any of our stocks, very little to do with any of our growth stocks. Moving on to stretch, talking about stretch, we're at 99.9, so we are so close, but we didn't quite get there, and of course the reason is the third attack that we had, and then I would argue Powell news was not very good news. That press conference was a catastrophe. He is staying at the Fed. He's staying as a governor. It's unprecedented, right? There's a tendency, usually when the Fed chair leaves, usually they don't stay as a Fed governor. J. Hawk Powell, as I call him jokingly, stays at the Fed. He stays at the governor. And, there's conversations. You can bet he's going to be a hawk during these conversations that Fed chairs have amongst each other, and therefore this is not a positive for rate cuts. And so that's why I think we're in for a slow grind, and I think this lasts many, many, many more months than unfortunately many of us had hoped. I think we're in for a slow grind, especially as, of course, we had good news yesterday. Was it yesterday or this morning? Saying, the military operation in the Middle East is over, right? That's what POTUS said this morning, and of course, like literally 30 minutes into the close, and I think this is why the S&P dropped like that. Literally 30 minutes into the close, you have a surprise tariff. Oh, Trump says he's raising EU auto tariffs to 25%, right? I've always known tariffs would make a comeback. I've always said that. I didn't think they would come back so quick. And I think, of course, it's Friday evening. Everybody's going home, so people are not really paying attention to this. We'll have to see what's going on over the weekend. I think this is not a positive development for the markets, unfortunately. So that's why when I see strategy running like this at 177, I'm very happy. But I'm not too concerned. Over the long run, I think strategy will do very well, and I think strategy will go up much more than that, and it will be amazing performance. But my ongoing expectation now is that every 6 months we get like a dark gray swan where we get an opportunity to buy. So if you average it, I think strategy is going to be expensive, but every 6 months, maybe every year until 2029, we're going to get some sort of a crisis and stocks are going to drop. At least that is my main hypothesis here. That is my main hypothesis. But Saylor must believe that Stretch is going to ATM on Monday. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made that decision 22 hours ago. Yesterday, they announced the rate would stay the same for May 2026. So what that means, in my view, is that they think they're about to hit 100 again and to start the STRC ATM again. Otherwise, they would have raised it. By a quarter of a percentage point. They didn't do that, which means that they think this is gonna happen on Monday. Of course, don't forget to vote on the shares. So for this to pass, people need to vote both on the MSTR common shares and on the STRC shares. Now, I have little doubt the MSTR common shares will vote in favor of that, obviously, given the ownership that Saylor has and the influence that he has on other big holders of MSTR. But for STRC, I'm not sure. I think Fong Li said he owned a little STRC. I don't think Saylor owns STRC. And therefore, that means they need a lot of retail support to actually go vote on STRC in order to approve the move from monthly to semi-monthly. And of course, who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't want that move? I think people are going to approve it. But you still need to get people to log into their brokers and to actually vote. You still need to get them to do that. So if you own STRC, make sure you go vote. And it's up to you what you want to vote. But I believe semi-monthly is better for everybody. And lastly, I'll conclude with this. This post trending. It seems like a lot. Believe this or not, it seems like a lot of people are still unaware that margin rates are much lower at Robinhood and that margin rates are much lower at interactive brokers. I also believe M1 has very low margin rates. Webull, I don't know what their margin rates are, but I'm pretty sure. Like neo brokers. Anyway, if you focus on neo brokers, you're gonna get under 5% margin rates. But it seems like a lot of people who use Schwab or Fidelity, they don't think that's possible because, of course, Schwab and Fidelity makes so much money charging 10%. They don't want to cut their profits in half. So essentially, it's a modern broker where you can borrow at 5%. And of course, this was trending. People saying, "Oh, borrow at 5%, invest at 11.5%." But as I've said before, and this was my video from 3 days ago on looping STRC, on borrowing to invest in STRC. There are important aspects to keep in mind as far as margin goes, as far as mark-to-market goes, and as far as the maintenance ratio and the buying power that they give you. And it's not STRC is not treated as pristine collateral just yet. And so, unfortunately, it sounds great in theory. In practice, we're not really there just yet. In my view, we'll be much closer to there after August when STRC is 1 year old and is treated more favorably by the broker. But if you are interested in this thesis of borrowing money to invest and doing a carry trade on STRC, I'm going to preach my channel, but I highly recommend the video I made, how to loop STRC in practice, how to get to theoretically 26% plus. You'll see in practice how it works. Theoretically possible. We're not quite there yet. My guess is as STRC becomes more trusted by brokers across the US, this will be possible. I don't think we are there just yet, unless you have a very, very well diversified portfolio with a bunch of low risk over stocks that give you a bunch of margin buying power, and in which case you could look at it as, I'm going to borrow at 5%. But you still, if you have a lot of high risk stocks like those I cover on the channel, the state is not there yet. We are not there yet. This is not exactly possible just yet. So watch my video if you want to learn more about this here. And anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. Only entertainment on this channel. I'm an entertainer. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.